In this video, we're going to show you how to use the Revolve tool in order to create this lamp with a shape. We're also going to show you how to name solids as you create them as separate solids, and then apply different visual materials to those solids so that you can get the look where we see that the base is made of brass, the lampshade is this beige material, and the light bulb that you can't see is a clear glass material. Okay, to start out making the lamp, we are going to start on our front plane. So again, front view, XY plane. We're going to open up the origin folder, pick that XY plane, and go ahead and start our 2D sketch. Now, we're going to go ahead and start with our line tool. We're going to draw our line from our center straight out. This one is going to be 4 inches. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see what I am doing. And then I'm going to go straight up 90 degrees at 1 inch. And it looks like things did not quite happen as I wanted them to. So we're going to move this line. I'm going to pick my line tool again. Get on the end point, straight up, 90 degrees, 1 inch, enter. There we go. Now I've got our line. All right, so the next line that I'm going to make, I'm going to actually use a 3-point arc to create. So we are going to grab our 3-point arc. I am going to go at the top of the line I created. I'm going to go kind of upwards and to the left, and I'm going to bend the line. Okay, to look something like that. So my next things that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use my dimension tool. And I am going to go from here to vertical to measure that. And that measurement is going to be 8 inches. The next measurement that I'm going to add is going to be the radius of this, which needs to be 10 inches. Now at this point, we're not going to be fully constrained. So the last one I'm going to add is I am going to click on the point at the top here, and I'm going to click on the point here, and I'm going to pull up in this direction and set that as 2. And that should have us fully constrained. Now, just to make adding the other lamp pieces easier, I am now going to get out of the dimension tool with escape, and I'm going to drag this downward. Perfect. All right, so I am now fully constrained. My next one is going to be also a 3-point arc. So I am going to pan my way over, grab my 3-point arc tool again. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. I'm going to start at the top. I am going to go vertical, and I'm going to bend this outward. Now we have a couple of things that we are going to set. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to grab our vertical tool, and we are going to go the center to this endpoint and the center to that endpoint as well. Now we're going to use our dimension tool, and we're going to define this at 0.75. Perfect. Now we're going to go ahead and maintaining our 3-point arcs, we are going to go from here upward again to there, and we're going to bend it this way. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually sketch in the rest of this by just kind of, again, sketching it in. And we will do that with a line tool. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to go vertical, 2 inches. I am going to go horizontally back to center, and then I am going to go from center vertically down to close in this shape. So we're going to go ahead and then I'm going to move this dimension out there. We're going to use our dimension tool, and we are going to set this up. So this measurement here, oh, I ended up with extra lines. So I'm going to go ahead and use my trim tool. So if that happens to you, you can use your trim tool and trim that back so it's only that long. And then we're going to grab our dimension tool and go from there to there as 18. So it does make it a little shorter. The radius of this is supposed to be 14. Additionally, we've got this line also at 0.75. And the last measurement says I'm missing one. I believe should be from, I go from this point to this point, I believe. Nope, that's already defined, which is what you see when you see it in parentheses. So if I click on it, I should be able to get rid of it. Huh, clicking on the wrong thing. All right, well, we'll get rid of it later. I believe then it should be from here to there then. Yeah, it just needed to know that that was also 2 inches. So now, after hitting escape a couple times, I'm going to click on this dimension and get rid of it because I don't need it. But that is it fully constrained. So you can see all of my dimensions here. And now, when I exit the sketch, zoom back out and back in, I'm going to now hit Revolve. And now I have to select, so it already selected the profile, that's in blue, the axis. So what the Revolve is going to do is it's going to create a circular pattern swing, or a circular object swinging around the axis. So essentially what I've done with my lamp is I've drawn half of the profile. So if I select my axis as this line right here, it will swing it around along that axis. So if I look at it three-dimensionally, you'll see it's creating this by essentially circling it around that axis, which is exactly what I want. Now, in this case, I am going to use one of the options we skipped before, where we are going to create a solid that is its own solid. So we're going to call this base. So this base is its own thing 100%. Okay, and when I click OK, it will create it, and I will now have a solid bodies folder. And when I drop that down, you're going to see base inside of it. That is important because as we add on to this, we're going to create them as separate objects so we can give them separate material looks. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stay on my XY plane and in my front view, and I'm going to click Start 2D Sketch again. I'm going to zoom in on the top, and now I'm going to create the light bulb profile. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start with my line tool. I'm going to go from this straight up vertically 3 inches. I am going to hit escape, and I'm going to get my line tool again, and I'm going to go from the same point out to the end point. I shouldn't need to dimension that because it uses the relationship of how round is that, and that's a really good thing because I don't need it being defined in any other way. Now, lastly, I am going to grab some arcs. So I'm going to go ahead and do first a center point arc. So my center point is going to be along this line. I'm actually not going to pick a point along this line because I'm going to let my dimensioning do it, but I'm going to make sure it's on that line. So I'm going to go on the line, up to the top of the line, and I'm going to come around something like that. Okay? And at this point, I'm going to go ahead and dimension the radius of it as 1.25. All right. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go back for a tangent arc. I am going to click this and come, and I'm going to make sure it's bending that way, but I'm going to come to that. Now when I create that tangent arc, I should be able to, are we fully defined? We are not. I should be able to dimension this arc. And I believe I need to decrease this. So I am going to try a couple of dimensions. At 60, I'm going to try 50. That does not give me what I want. So 25. Nope. Still way too straight because I want it to kind of bend the other way. So I'm going to try 5. Now I'm starting to get somewhere. All right. That gives me a nice light bulb shape. I'm going to try one more time at 3. Actually, I really like that. I like how smooth it is. I like that that gives it. So again, we're going to go ahead and go with 3 on that, which is weird since we started at 60, but it was basically a straight line. So I'm not surprised that we had to drop that down quite a bit. So this is the end result sketch. Again, it is an enclosed shape because you did see me. I did draw a line down here. Okay. And you can see as I zoom in that it is there. So again, I'm going to go to my 3D view. I'm going to hit finish. I'm going to hit revolve. It's going to ask for an axis. I'm going to go ahead and click the axis. It's going to come around. Now, the Boolean operations, these actual outputs, I've got a couple of things here. So I'm not going to join it. I'm not going to cut it. I'm not going to intersect it. I'm going to say new solid. And when I do a new solid, I can change this to be bulb. Which is great. So now my lamp has a light bulb. The last thing I am going to create, or actually before I create that, I'm going to go ahead and do this part. So under solid bodies, I'm going to drop this down. I'm going to go ahead and click the one that says base so it's highlighted. And when I click my material one right here, I'm going to go ahead and scroll up so I can find brass. Brass satin. Perfect. So now it is that brass satin color. I'm going to click the one that says bulb. And when I drop this down, don't think there's a glass one. Yeah, we go right from generic to glossy. I believe it's under transparent. Keep scrolling. Turquoise, unfinished. No. Where was my clear then? Sorry about that. Clear? Maybe it was under clear. It was under clear. So it is clear. I'm going to go ahead and do clear light. Click off of that. You see that that has kind of that clear light bulb-like look to it. I know in a real thing, the lamp would be a little bit more ornate. We're not real worried about it. You could also put a like white on it like that. But that just makes it easier. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to stay on our XY plane. We're going to hit a new 2D sketch, zoom in out, zoom in back in, and with a little bit of space. And we are now going to create the lamp shade. So for this, I'm going to actually start out with a line, and I am going to draw the line without length. I'm just going to draw kind of an angled line out here. Now, for this to also work, I am going to, from the base of the bulb, with my line tool still, from the base center of the bulb, straight up, And even with that, I'm going to draw another line. Now I'm going to click on this line and I'm going to make it for construction. All right. I am also going to grab the top of this. Oh, sorry. I'm going to get the horizontal one and we're going to grab the top of this and the top of this and make those horizontal. I am also going to dimension my construction line at 10 inches. So that gets it to be 10 inches. I'm also going to dimension the angle from here to here to be 25 degrees. Perfect. Now I'm going to dimension from the top of the base to the bottom of the shade vertically, like this, to be 2.5. And you can see that helps to define this. Oh, I actually am missing one more measurement, and that is from this point to the line this way should be 4 inches. There we go. So that is fully defined. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to use offset. And when I do offset, I'm going to click on this and I'm going to come inward 0.125. Very, very thin. I'm next going to grab my line tool and I'm going to zoom way, way in. And I'm going to cap each side. So that's just drawing a line from endpoint to endpoint. And we're going to do it again down here. Line tool is still active. So we're going to go from endpoint to endpoint to totally enclose that. And again, everything should be needed. It wants a dimension. I'm going to try something that is parallel with the top one. Okay. And I'm going to check the top one to make sure we don't have another one on there. So that's parallel there. Okay. What I am going to also do is I'm going to use my perpendicular one and I'm going to go from the endpoint to that endpoint. And now I am fully constrained. So that's what it needed, was just that quick little relation. If I click either the front plane or I click the zoom extents, I will zoom out to see the whole thing. So this is the profile of my lampshade. Now you will notice I have distanced it off of the center line, so it's not connected to the center line. So I'm not going to create kind of a revolved solid, and it's also enclosed away from the center line. So this is how I create the lampshade. So I'm going to, I should have just clicked finish. Go back to that 3D view. I'm going to hit revolve. And I need to select my axis, which is my construction line. And as you can see, it revolves around and gives me my thing. Again, I'm going to create it as a separate solid. It knows that because it's not touching anything. And this one is going to be called shade. So this is the lamp shade. The last thing is I'm going to click shade. And I believe I went down to a beige color, or up to a beige color. There it is, spelled B-E-I, okay, beige, and that gives you your lampshade. So again, we are going to click either our ISO view or our zoom extents, get the whole thing. We are going to right click on where it says part 5 or the actual thing. We are going to get our eye properties out and switch to project. Make sure this is in our area. And we are going to, we would save this and name it, of course, but this is the screenshot we would take for our document. Now for the mass, it looks slightly different, but not a lot. If we go over to physical, we want to make sure we're on the part, okay, with all the things selected, okay, because we want to make the whole part. Now when we drop this down, we are going to go up to brass. Now this one is brass soft yellow. Okay, now this is going to give us a very unrealistic mass because at this point it tells me my lamp weighs almost 115 pounds. Now if this whole thing was a solid brass piece and everything else was also made of brass, that would be true. And that's what the software is telling us that. But as we know, a lamp like this would probably be made of a hollow brass base, maybe with a small brass or weighted piece at the bottom. So this is not a realistic number. Just we're all going to agree that 100 almost 115 pounds is unrealistic for a lamp, but that is the correct answer when you go to put that in for your document. But again, for the actual image, you want to make sure you're on the project screen. Just wanted to show you that quickly on the physical properties area, just because I know it's a little different since we're using multiple solids for this project.